like the general audience, because they can make or break a movie. Like if they're gonna appreciate it, like knowing that it's a silent film, because I can see a lot of people like, why in the hell do I want to go see a silent film? Especially unless you're a film buff, I can only see people like that going to see it.
Sure, but it's a silent French film. Of course, the general audience isn't gonna go see it. I mean, if you made a movie like that with expectations of getting the general audience, then I'm sorry, you're not gonna do well in business.
But it's getting marketed pretty big, though, right?
I think the key here is that really it just comes to sitting down in front of it and giving it a shot. If enough people, with anything are saying, no, really, it is that good, then people will. It's not like, for instance, the last time someone tried to make a modern day silent film that I'm aware of, which was Mel Brooks.
Oh my God.
When he made Silent Movie. The problem with that was that was a gimmick there.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It was just like, haha, isn't it funny we're making a silent film? Here, that's not really what they're going for at all. It's not those little scratches on Grindhouse where it's like, look, it just looks like that. They had to, as Corey was saying, they had to relearn how to make movies to make a silent movie again here. I mean, in the way that they acted, in the way that it's set up, just everything, the way it's written. It's more than just an interesting experiment because it works.
Yeah, I'm telling you, people, I'm not just buying into the hype. I mean, as Leon would tell you, as he scolded me
you
on
bought
before.
into it the first time, though. Come on.
But I'm telling you that it is a deceptively amazing film, because there's so many things that could have gone wrong, and if somebody just didn't really do their homework on this, it would have gone wrong. And forget the homework, because you can study this and mimic it, but if your heart's not there, you're not going to know what you're doing. And this director knew exactly what he was doing, because he is so immersed in this world of old Hollywood, and because besides just the cinematography and all the technical expertise that's applied here, there's also these characters in here. It's the director's wife, Berenice Bejo, I think is her name. She plays Peppy Miller, and then she plays like the young starlet who's a fan who rises to be a star of her own. James Cromwell as the chauffeur, and then you have John Goodman as the head of the studio that George works for. And most of these people, they are stereotypes, and they are stereotypes that fit that era. And it would be so easy to not flesh those stereotypes out and just have them be funny or come in and be a gimmick in the way that they act, as well as they could have with all the cinematography and everything. But these characters you do care for. They're not when you begin to watch it, I'm probably using that term wrong. They're not so much stereotypes as in they're just products of their time.
They're not cliches.
And they're not cliche, and they actually were able to make them real characters who hardly say a word, who have to do everything through body language, and yet have you feeling for them tremendously by the end of the movie. This is an incredible film. I mean, it is.
The thing is, what comes across is like the real love that everybody who worked on the project had for it. There's an attention to detail. There's a sense of accuracy, just in the way everybody looked, everything that's subtle. And unlike maybe a silent movie you might watch from that time, the pacing is done well on it. I mean, there's constantly something to keep you interested. It never really slows down to where any of it's boring. And it ends with a great dance number.
Oh man, and it's such a relief when you get to the end, really, in a lot of ways, because it gets pretty heavy.
Oh yeah,
at the beginning of that third reel. I would disagree with you that the pacing is consistent. If I had a problem, it is in fact when it starts to get so heavy, I did start to get a little tired with it. I was like, okay. Part of the pleasure of this was just that it had a sense of exuberance and joy, almost every frame. And then when it loses that, I was kind of starting to get lost too. But it doesn't last long, and it wins you back with just a spectacular ending number that, like I said, couldn't help but make you think of Gene Kelly even more.
True.
Oh man, yeah, that's see, right when you think this movie couldn't get any more right, the transition into sound, they get that right. And then like I said, this is a guy who just not loves old Hollywood from the silent era. This is the guy who just loves Hollywood. I mean, no telling what. I mean, I haven't seen any of the movies that he's done today. Those spy spoofs.
You should see how well he captures that Sean Connery Bond era.
That's what I'm saying. He did a couple of spy movies. OSS 117 Cairo. And then he did one Lost in
Nest
Rio.
of Spies.
And I mean, this is a guy who impresses me that he loves film. I mean, he can mimic a movie from an old era. He can mimic movies from different genres. Shit, he should have been the one making goddamn Grindhouse, not goddamn Tarantino. but like I said, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just layers it on and on. And I have to agree with you, Cyrus. I think it got a little too heavy to the point of melodrama when the movie became. When it got to its depressing points. For a movie like this, I don't think it needs to be that heavy-handed. But there's another part in here that I thought, I don't know if people are going to agree with me. I thought they bring in sound in little parts. And Leon and I were talking about this, and I know Leon liked it, and I thought they could have done it better, the way they introduced sound. It's part of a dream sequence in a way, but I thought they could have played with the introduction of sound a little bit more, but that's just me making my own movie in my head. Now, look, I know, I'm talking about the director here, like, I know you love old Hollywood, but goddamn it, I don't need these black Africans in here in one scene that they got. They got these stereotypes and these little, I got to tell you about
Now I have to see.
Hey, man, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I know, because there's a scene where George is sitting at a bar, and he's getting drunk because this is a part where his career is starting to fade, and he starts hallucinating. He sees himself from a jungle movie, like on the bar, a little vision of himself on the bar wearing a safari hat coming up to him like, hey, buck up. But behind him, he got these Negroes with bones in their noses and feathers, and they're talking about ooga googa, ooga booga. And I'm like, man, I don't want to see that shit.
Well, that was what they were doing in movies.
I know. I don't like it, though. I know.
You're going to remake, you want to see Tyler Perry's Roots? What the hell?
No.
Did the Three Stooges run through that scene?
I wish the master would try to beat me. I kick him in his if he hadn't done
They
that,
have a big pot.
then you'd be like, I love the movie, except how come he couldn't put no black people in
I
it?
wouldn't have said that. I'm the person that does want to see Tyler Perry as the artist. Man,
Nobody
No,
wants
you
to see
don't.
that.
Now, I do have what could be considered a major complaint about this movie, and that is, in the third act, you can hear Bernard Herrmann's love theme from Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo being played, and that bothers me for two reasons. One, here I am watching a movie that I really enjoy, that I'm loving, and all of a sudden, I'm being taken out of it by the score of another movie and another score that I love. And two, the composition in this movie, there is an original composition in this film, and it's done by Ludovic Bourset, and his score is gorgeous, and I'm just wishing that I could have heard his original music all the way through the film. But that's just me. I don't know if that's going to be an issue for anybody else. I have no doubt that that Hollywood would embrace this. That's not the problem. It's the general public. But you know what? It's not for the general public. It's a foreign film that happens to love old Hollywood. It got brought over here. It's going to have its audience that it wants. If you're some stupid motherfucker who don't like old movies and can't read, this is not the movie for you. All right?
You heard that, co-host.
I got it in comments.
I know. You know, the Predator don't pop up in here anywhere, co-host.
He should have during that scene, that Africa scene.
Even though I would,
been crazy.
even though I would have, I just start taking out black people.
Artist 2 is a Predator movie in your mind. Is that what you said?
You see the Predator. Yeah, you see the Predator come up, and then you see a sound card that says.
I was gonna say, click.
This movie, I don't know, man. Just for the ambition behind it and the fact that it worked, I have to go out and just give it. Even if I was more entertained by some movies than this, I have to give this movie Better Than Sex. This guy's heart and spirit was truly in this film, and that is rare to see that in filmmakers today.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a film that it took me a little while to warm up to totally, because I'm like, what are you doing? I was just suspicious of it, you know? I couldn't help it. I was like, why are you making a silent movie? I don't trust you.
You sit up there pointing at the box. What are you doing?
But it did totally win me over. I think just great performances. Both Jean Dujardin and who knows how for saying her name right or not, Berenice Bejo. I mean, they're both the kind of stars you want to see a lot more of after this film. They both have so much to offer here. It's fun all the way through for the most part. Even if you're skeptical, you're still going, I don't want to see no silent movie. Look, you don't have to read that much. I promise. I swear. As long as you have
You better not be lying to me.
You didn't tell me this here movie came with words.
You can read the Sunday comics you can read. Are there even Sunday comics anymore? I don't know. Who reads the newspaper? But
For the next couple of weeks, there still are.
Yeah, I know. But so this is a full price movie, and it's one of the films that, get ready. You might as well see it while you can in theaters, because people will be talking about it all next year.
Yeah. Right now, I'm kind of done with the general public and what they want, because the general public shows up to the movies I'm at and they talk all through them. Fuck the general public. I love that there's somebody still making movies that's not tailored to them. That's not trying to grab every demographic. This really does deliver on everything it's trying to do. It's so ambitious. You know, the real artist is the guy who made this movie. I mean, this movie's about him, if you ask me.
Whose name we're not even going to attempt.
That guy whose name I can't pronounce.
You know, Mikey, my boy.
But you know what? I mean, I hate to give it a Better Than Sex only because I hate to give people that, you know, pump it up too much where they go like, well, I don't know about that. But you know what? I got to be true to myself.
You just said you didn't care about the general public.
Yeah, but I care.
He's lying.
I care. but there's
You're doing what you just accused Corey of doing.
No.
Yes.
There's that part of me that doesn't want to do that, but fuck it. I got to be true to myself. And you know what? I was only like a handful of Better Than Sexes I would hand out this year, and this would get one of them because when I think about it, there is absolutely nothing about this movie that I didn't like. And I went into it, you know, optimistic, but at the same time, it was late. I was like, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff that hadn't impressed me. I'm sure this would just be one of those. And it took no time for me to be completely immersed in it and just love everything it did. And as you know what? One thing I'll say about the general public, if you don't like to read, more than likely there is a member of the general public who will be there reading everything out loud the whole time.
That'll be
watching
me.
this.
And besides, you know, I mean, sure, it's Better Than Sex for you, but you're old enough that sex ain't that great anymore anyway.
Oh.
Hey, man, I'm old enough that it's better.
I know. He's old enough that he would rather read right now than have sex.
And I gotta tell you, this newspaper is better than sex.
I think Leon's like,
this cup of coffee is better than sex.
finally a film that takes it back to the good old days of filmmaking. I remember when I was in my roaring 20s.
Back when Negroes had bones in their noses.
That was my favorite part.